Hello there and welcome to another tutorial from me. Today's tutorial is going to be a colouring one again, and the image that I'm going to be showing you how I would approach colouring is going to be this one. Okay, so this was a freehand drawing from me of a horse with quite an ornate bridle and blanket, and those are the parts that we're going to be focusing on today in this tutorial. I'm going to be using Copic markers, but you can choose a medium, really whatever you fancy using. So the colours that I'm going to go for are going to be in the green spectrum, and I'm going to be using some dark pens and some lighter pens, and that's to create a nice textured layer. If I can, I'm going to try and do a little bit of the hair and the mane, the tail, that area, and mostly chestnut browns I'll be using for those. So once again, going to be using dark pens and light pens. So alongside that, we're also going to be using a gold gel pen and also a glitter pen. If I feel that I need it, I will be adding a couple of extra pens into that, but we'll see how we go. So let's crack on with the colouring. Okay, so here's our drawing all ready to go, and it's been printed out once again. For me, I'm just using a cheap paper, but I recommend better cardstock or something that can take ink if you are going to be using ink. So the first thing I'm going to do is, using a darker pen, is to go round parts of the drawing to just add in the depth. So in this case, I'm going to be going round the saddle, from the right end of the pen first. And at this stage, it actually doesn't matter if you go over the scrolly bits, because you're going to go over those with the ink pens anyway, or the gel pens. Okay, then going in with the medium green in this case, using small circular motion. Just going to go over the darker colour and then come out into the main part, but I'm leaving a little white gap here and there, and that's where my lightest colour is going to go over. And then I'm going to go in with the lighter colour. So again, just going really over the whole drawing. Okay, and I'm going to take the medium green and just go over little bits where I need to fill in some of the shadowy areas, but I'm just trying to blend in the darker colour. You know there isn't any squeaking in the background. The squeaky chair squeaked its last squeak and has gone up to the big landfill in the sky. New chair hopefully coming soon. So right now I'm actually standing to do this. Luckily I'm quite short. Okay. So I've got a light pen again, and I'm just re-going over that area. Like I say, because it's Copics you can do this. just to blend in some of those colours. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so that's the main part of the green that I'm going to do. The only bit that I'm just going to add in is on the tail and also on the edge of the blanket, if you like. And I'm doing this in a darker colour. So that is all the green now done on the horse. So next we're going to move on to our metallic colour, and for this one we're going to be using a metallic gold. Okay, so next we're going to do the gold inking with the gel pen. So I'm going to zoom in to the area that's going to be concentrating on the most. Okay, and I'm going to start with the little circles all along. You could call them pennies or something like that. Little gold ornamentation just on the rump of the horse. So it's literally just a case of putting a tiny gold spot into each of those dots. And there's the second layer. Then where we got the blanket parts and the material, I'm going to start putting in the gold banding. It's worth giving, for every small amount that you do, it's worth giving the gel ink a few seconds just to dry a bit, because it is quite a runny ink. Okay, next I'm just going to do this tail, and there's just a couple of lines here that need going over, quite thin ones. Right, so I'm hoping this bit should be dry now, hopefully. That's why this piece of paper is very important at times. So if it is wet, it should just sit onto the paper. And as long as I don't smudge or move the paper, the ink should be okay. Okay. It has transferred a little bit, so I'm going to rotate this paper. Okay, there's that part of the weave. Okay, onto the big blanket underneath the saddle. This one I'm going to start off in the top corner because the ink is going to be a lot wetter because it's a larger area that we're covering, so I'm going to start right up here and go in between the lines. Okay, that's most of the blanket, and then on the little feathery trail below I'm just going to put a couple of gold strokes in to give it a break, so break up the shapes a bit. So just between certain lines, not every one, just a couple. Okay, so that's the main blanket done. So next we've got the reins and a bit around the chest. Okay, so I've just let the ink dry for a few minutes, and now we're going to move on to the bridle and the chest bit of material. I can't remember what they call them. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly do these little gold coins. Okay, and there's the bridle. So next it will be the kind of leg holding covering things. Okay, so next on to those little ankle and wrist covers. I'm sure there's an official name for them, but I can't remember it right now. Okay, and that's that part done. Okay, next I'm going to just add a bit of detail into the mane. So I'm going to be taking my darkest brown that I've got, and I'm just going to go into the places where there would be shadow or where it will be darkest. Remember, bit of card. So I'm not colouring in the whole thing, just tiny bits where the shadows might be. Okay, so that's my darkest brown. Not much of it. Okay, then I'm going to go for my medium brown. Check my colour sheet. Yeah, that's what I want. And I'm going to leave certain areas blank on this. And that's where the highlights are going to be. In this case, instead of using a white marker, I'm going to leave the area blank and then blend a little bit around it. Okay. Looks a bit patchworky, doesn't it? Okay, onto a lighter brown. Okay, and then I'm going in with my lightest. I'm going to go all over just to use it to blend in all the other colours. Okay, now I'm going to take my darkest pen again and just exaggerate a couple of those areas where the shadows are going to be, just while all the ink's wet. Okay, and there's the mane with some highlights in it. Okay, I'm going to use my medium brown and just go over the bridle. And the reins. And I've left a little bit of white because I'm just going to take my lightest colour again and just fill that in with and blend it to get a nice colour. Okay, now for the saddle. Starting again, I'm going to be using my darkest colour. I'm just picking out only a small amount on this bit. in the medium brown. Very small circular movements. And with another lighter brown. And with my lightest. Okay, then back to one of the lightest medium browns. And just going back to the darkest one just to blend in a couple of those darker areas. Okay. Then taking the gel pen, the gold one, I'm just going to go around the edge of the saddle and just give it a little gold border. I'm just going to put a couple of little gold dots there just to make it look nice, if you like. Just realised I've not coloured in a little bit down here. I'm just putting a medium brown onto there. Okay, so next we're going to do the tail. Okay, so moving on to the tail, we're going to do roughly the same thing as what we did with the mane. So first taking the darkest colour, just going to show where the shadows are going to be, but only lightly, not a continuous line. Then the medium colour, one of the medium colours. Leaving those gaps for where the highlights are most likely going to end up. Then another lighter colour. And then the lightest colour. Okay, and then back to the darker colour. Just picking out a couple of dark strands and where the shadows are again. Back to one of the mediums. And then just a little bit more of the lighter one. And that's the tail. Okay, so there you have it. That is the blanket and the ornate little bits and bobs finished, with the tail and mane completed. You can at this stage say pick a colour for the body and continue colouring that in. For this one I would probably go for a chestnut light brown. Depending on what colours you're going to use, it's well worth having a look at horse reference photos online in books and get an idea of what colours you can use, and make the saddle, the blankets and the little bands and such, just complement them, and that works really, really well. I do have a blue version of this on the website, which is well worth a look at, and all I can say is experiment, have a go and see what you can come up with, and I wish you all the best of luck. So till the next one, have a good time and happy crafting.